Welcome back to Quiz Gentry Friends. Today we'll love to quiz about Titanic's historic maiden voyage with a few questions and 7 seconds each to answer them. Before then, we ask that you please consider hitting the subscribe button for more maritime quizzes as we get started. Okay friends, question 1 says, what year did Titanic depart Southampton? Was this 1910, 1911, or 1912? 1912. Titanic began its maiden voyage on April 10, 1912, from Southampton, heading to New York. Tragically, it hit an iceberg and sank 5 days later. 2. Which city did Titanic's voyage end? We have New York, Miami, or Boston. New York. Titanic's intended destination was New York. Unfortunately, the ship never reached this point due to its sinking in the North Atlantic Ocean on April 15, 1912. What ocean did Titanic sink in? Sounds like a bonus, but Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Ocean are your options. Atlantic. Titanic sank in the North Atlantic Ocean after colliding with an iceberg. The ship submerged approximately 370 miles south of Newfoundland. How long was Titanic's maiden voyage? 3 days, 5 days, or 6 days? Five days. Titanic's journey lasted 5 days, from April 10th to April 15th, 1912. Its voyage was cut short after it hit an iceberg and sank. A lot of easy questions today, and this is one. On which date did Titanic strike the iceberg? April 10th, April 12th, or April 14th? April 14th. Titanic hit an iceberg late at night on April 14th, 1912, causing the ship to sink in the early hours of April 15th. Where did Titanic make its first stop? Cherbourg, Paris, or Brest? Cherbourg. After departing from Southampton, Titanic's first stop was Cherbourg, France, where it picked up additional passengers. What was Titanic's last stop before disaster? Queenstown, Galway, or Dublin? Queenstown. The last port Titanic visited was Queenstown, now Cobb, Ireland, where it picked up more passengers before heading across the Atlantic. What was Titanic's departure time from Southampton? 12 p.m., 10:30 a.m., or 11:40 a.m.? p.m. Titanic set sail from Southampton on April 10, 1912, at noon, with passengers on board for its highly anticipated transatlantic maiden voyage. How long was Titanic planned to take to reach New York? Do you think it was 7 days, 5 days, or 6 days? Seven days. Titanic was scheduled to arrive in New York 7 days after its departure from Southampton. The sinking on the 5th day cut the journey tragically short. Question 10. What time did Titanic hit the iceberg? 9:30 p.m., 11:40 p.m., or 12:15 a.m.? (11:40 p.m.) Titanic collided with the iceberg at 11:40 p.m. on April 14, 1912. The impact was severe enough to rupture the ship's hull, leading to its sinking. What was the captain's name on Titanic? Edward, William, or John? Edward. Captain Edward Smith was the captain of Titanic. He was highly experienced and considered one of White Star Line's most respected captains at the time. Another bonus question here, and it says, where was Titanic when it sank? Irish Sea, Atlantic, or Celtic Sea? Atlantic. Titanic sank in the North Atlantic Ocean, about 370 miles south of Newfoundland, after striking an iceberg on its maiden voyage. And again, what ship rescued Titanic survivors? Lusitania, Olympic, or Carpathia? Carpathia. The RMS Carpathia arrived at the disaster site and rescued Titanic's survivors. It picked up 705 survivors and took them to New York. How far from Newfoundland did Titanic sink? 200 miles, 370 miles, or 450 miles? "370 miles. Titanic sank approximately 370 miles off the coast of Newfoundland in the North Atlantic after hitting an iceberg on April 14, 1912. 15. What class of passengers boarded first at Southampton? Second, first, or third? First. The first-class passengers boarded the ship first at Southampton, enjoying luxurious accommodations and dining on the maiden voyage of Titanic. Please like the video. Thank you. Who was the owner of the Titanic? Cunard, White Star, or Blue Star? White Star. Titanic was owned by the White Star Line, a British shipping company. Its parent company, International Mercantile Marine, was headed by J.P. Morgan. What was the final distress signal Titanic sent? There's the SOS, the CQD, and the Mayday. What's your answer? CQD. Titanic initially sent a CQD signal, the earlier version of the distress call, followed by SOS later during the sinking, when the situation became desperate. How long did Titanic to sink? 2 hours, 2 hours 40 minutes, or 3 hours? Two hours 40 minutes. Titanic sank 2 hours and 40 minutes after striking the iceberg, a relatively fast sinking for such a large ship. Many were trapped aboard due to limited lifeboats. How many people were on board Titanic during the maiden voyage? 2,000, 2,224, or 1,923? 2,224. Titanic carried 2,224 people, including passengers and crew, on its maiden voyage. The sinking led to deaths of over 1,500 people. Question 20 says, which lifeboat was the last to be launched from Titanic? Lifeboat 12, Lifeboat 16, or Lifeboat 4? Lifeboat 12. Lifeboat 12 was the last lifeboat to be launched from Titanic. Despite the confusion and chaos, many lives were saved by the remaining lifeboats. Please hit the subscribe button. Thank you. What class were most of Titanic's passengers? First, second, or third? Third. Most of the passengers on Titanic were in third class. Many of them were immigrants traveling to the United States in search of a better life. How many passengers survived Titanic's sinking? 705, 866, or 1,022? 705. Of the 2,224 people aboard, only 705 survived. The lack of lifeboats and the rapid sinking of Titanic were major factors in the high death toll. Do not forget to comment your score. What was the Titanic's call sign? MKY, MGY, or MAU? MGY. Titanic's radio call sign was MGY. This was the signal used to communicate with other ships, including distress messages when the ship was sinking. 24 says, what was the second ship that ignored Titanic's distress calls? Californian, Olympic, or Lusitania? Californian. The SS Californian was nearby but failed to respond to Titanic's distress signals, reportedly due to the radio operator being off duty at the time. The last question says, how much coal did Titanic consume daily? 600 tons, 400 tons, or 500 tons? .600 tons. Titanic consumed around 600 tons of coal per day to maintain its speed. This coal was fed into 159 furnaces that powered the ship's 29 boilers. Thank you for watching, friends. See you in the next quiz. Bye-bye.